finally,
Okay, welcome back.
last video,
In this last
tutorial,
video,
what we're
we're
going to do is display this.
is present this. We're
I'm
going to
to
set
talk
this
about
up to
rendering a
present it
little
very
bit here,
nicely.
so it's outside
Now,
the scope
this
of
is a
the
modeling
but
tutorial.
I
It's
thought it
not a
would be
rendering
cool
tutorial,
to
but I
show
thought
you
it
how
would
to
be a
do this,
cool idea,
so you
and
don't
it'd be
feel
pretty
like you're
awesome
left
for
just
you
hanging in
to
the
show
wind.
you how to
Let
render
me
this
show you
out
what I mean.
nicely. That way you don't feel
Hold
like you
down
got left
Q
hanging
on
there.
the keyboard,
So I'm going to
and
show
your
you how to
icon
present
will
this
change to
nicely to
this one
show
right
it off.
here.
So if
And
you hold down Q
drag
on the
a
keyboard
square around whatever
and you
want,
drag a square
you
around this
render
object, you'll do something called the render region. And we've been doing this quite a bit throughout this
And
tutorial,
over
but
here,
now
in
we're going to
this
see how to render
little
out
box,
much
if you
better.
hover your mouse over it,
This
switches
little
to a
box
slider.
over here that
The
you
lower
hover
the
over
slider
is a
is, the worse
slider.
the quality.
Now the lower the
It's
slider
no
is, the
good.
worse the
And
quality.
the higher the
The
slider,
higher the slider, the better the quality,
look.
but it's going to take longer
Now,
to render. But of course,
I'm
it's
not going
worth
to get
it because
into
everything's going to render out nicer.
intricacies of rendering.
Now, I'm not going to get into
mental ray and
detail on
XSI.
how to render because
that's way outside the
exercise
scope of this
render
tutorial.
mental ray is
But I am
so
going to show you
huge,
how to render this.
we would
in a
have to dedicate an
presentable
entire
manner that
tutorial
actually
to
looks
it.
good and makes
But
your
I'm going to show you how to
modeling
render out
worthwhile.
to get this
So
looking
first
really
thing I'm going
nice.
to do is I'm going to go,
Which is worthwhile because
over
presentation
here
is
where it
everything.
says
Believe
model.
me.
I'm going to switch from
Let's
model
go over here
to
to where it says
render.
model and
Shortcut
switch
is
over
3
to
on the
render
keyboard.
toolbar. And the shortcut to do that is 3
And
on the keyboard.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to render this out.
And now we
using
can have our render tools to use to
features.
render this out.
They're going to allow us to make this look
So let's
really
use
good.
the awesome lighting features
Now let me hit
available
6 on the keyboard to open
in
up my
XSI
layers.
through Mental Ray.
And under finished
and get
objects,
this done.
I'm going to turn select.
Let's go to the finished objects layer and activate the selectability by checking that out. Remember, 6 is the shortcut to open up that layers window.
Shader really to
So we need to add a glass
table.
shader to the glass surface to make this look nice.
So
We're not going to get into materials and shaders, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to do this. So hit U to go to raycasting mode.
And what I'll do
select
is
the
I'll
top polygon,
use the grow selection,
and then hold
feature.
Shift and hit
Grow the
the
selection.
equal sign next to the
So it
backspace
selects
key to
the
grow the
entire
selection.
piece of
And keep
glass.
doing that until the entire
and
piece
what
of
I'm going
glass
to
is
do is
selected.
I'm going to hit Control L,
Then
turn
hit
that
Control
into a cluster.
L, and that's
I'm
going to
hit
create
enter,
something that's called
and
a
I'm going
cluster.
to rename this
Hit
cluster
Enter to open the PPG for that cluster,
glass
and rename the cluster to
table.
glass
Okay.
table.
Once I do that, what I'm going to do is
create
I'm
this
simply
glass,
going to
once
go
I
to
create
object
this
mode
glass
here.
cluster, what
I'm
I'll
gonna
do
go
is
ahead
hit
and
spacebar to
Control
go back to
and 7
object
on the
mode
keyboard
and
to
select the
open up
desk.
the material
Then I'm going to
manager.
hit Control 7 on the keyboard to open
And
up
what I'm
this
going to do
material
is
manager.
I'm going to go up here to create.
I'm going to go to create menu.
Or actually, I'll go to materials.
Let's go to materials.
I'll go to
Actually,
create
let's go to
new
create new
material.
material. And that's going to create this new
I'll
material.
select this little green
By default, it's
E
going to be
here
called
on font
font.
to open up
Hit
the
that little
PPG,
green
and
E
I'm gonna
icon to
rename,
open up the PPG.
This material.
And let's rename the
font
material to glass
glass table
matte,
short for material.
matte, which is short for material.
And what I'm going to
That's
do
just the naming
is I'm going to
convention
go
I
to
like to use.
transparency and reflection.
Let's go to the transparency and reflection
I'm going
tab.
to give this
And
thing
for
a little
reflection,
bit of
let's change the
reflection.
color from black, which is no reflection,
to around 1
to a very dark gray, to
and
around
I'm going to go to
0.1.
transparency.
And then go to
get this
transparency and
practically
crank
total
that almost
transparency.
all the way up. So it's
So
going to be
around
like a high
0.9.
0.9. So it's almost totally
And
transparent.
I'm also going to go to index of refraction.
Let's go to
put
index
maybe
of refraction,
1.3.
and let's change that from 1 to 1.3.
And let me see what else
Let's
I can
go
do to
to.
this.
Let me see
think
what else
that's
to
good.
do to this.
For the
I
time
think this
being
is
at
gonna
least.
work out pretty good.
Actually, I'm going to pin that PPG
Let's
down.
pin this PPG down in case I need it
And
later.
What I'm going to do is, with the table selected, I'm going to
Now
hit
with the table
8
selected, I'm
to
going to hit
open up
8
this
to open up an
view.
Explorer view.
And I'm going to hit
and you can see the
E on
computer
keyboard
desk is highlighted.
to
Hit E
focus
on the
in on the
keyboard
computer
to
desk,
focus
which is
in
what I
on the
have selected.
computer desk because it's
If
selected.
you go here on the poly
Expand
mesh
this
and
polygon
open up
mesh node
clusters,
and then
you see
expand
we
the
have
clusters
a
folder.
glass
And you'll see
table
we have this
cluster.
glass table
Simply
cluster.
take the
It has
glass
that
table
blue and
material we
orange
just
icon.
made and just drag
Grab
and drop
the
it right
glass
on top of
table
that glass
material
cluster
in the
and close
material
this.
manager window and
And now
drag
if
it
you
and
do
drop
a
it on
run
top of that
region,
cluster in the Explorer view.
you notice that
And it'll add
only
that
the glass
material
part of the
to that
table
cluster.
has a sort of
And since only the polygons from the glass
type
table
shader to it,
were
which is
in
really
that
cool.
cluster, only that
So,
cluster and
I'm
only the
gonna
glass
close that.
table
That looks
is
pretty
going to have
good,
the,
actually.
only that glass
Let me close
cluster, the
this.
glass table is going to have that
I'm not gonna
material
mess around
applied
shaders
to
on
it.
any other
So now it's
object because this is
transparent
not
and
a
has some
material
reflectivity.
tutorial.
Now I'm
So,
not going to bother putting
I'm gonna leave it
shaders
like
on
that.
any other objects because
Now,
this
the
is
next
not
thing
a
I'm going to
surfacing
do
or
is
material
I'm going to go to
tutorial.
primitive.
So let's go up here to primitive.
And I'm going to go to...
Let's create a polygon
I'm gonna
mesh.
go to polygon mesh here.
And let's create
I'm going
a
to create
sphere.
a sphere. I'm going to
And
scale
we're going to take this sphere and we're going to scale it up.
big.
Scale it
And
up
I mean
huge,
real big.
really big, so it
to
takes
run
up the entire scene like this.
And
Okay?
with the sphere still selected,
Now
I'm
with the
gonna
sphere
go up here
still selected, go to
and I'm gonna
material
assign it a
and go
constant
to
material.
constant. Let's add a constant material to
And
this.
I'm going to make this constant
Let's change the
material pure
color
white.
to white.
Close it. Close PPG for it.
So now we have this white background.
Right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to regions.
Let's go to regions.
I'm going to
go to all options.
All options.
That's going to open up our PPG. It gives us control over rendering.
Pops up. down here under mental ray
Now,
render
we're
options,
obviously not going to go over all this stuff.
to Final
But let's go
Gathering.
to the Final
I'm gonna
Gathering tab.
Check enable,
Check
so
enable,
it turns it on.
so it turns Final Gathering on.
And that'll pretty much do it. I'm going to set the number of rays.
And let's change the number of rays to 32 so it renders faster. Let me tuck that away. Collapse it.
Do a render region.
Let's do a render region with the Q button. And this is what we get. And now we get something more interesting than before, but it's a bit bright. It's too bright.
So what I'm going to do is...
So we need to make some adjustments.
Let me go over here to ambience.
Let's go to the ambience over here.
Ambience all the way
and turn it all the way down to 0.
Hold down Control and move one of these arrows.
You can move all the arrows at the same time by holding down Control and moving one of the arrows so they all move together.
0.
So we'll knock the ambience to pure black to 0, so there's no ambience here. And that's going to help to darken things up a bit.
It's still a bit too bright.
But
it's
still
it's
too bright and blown
it's the
out.
white sphere we have around the entire
So we need
scene.
to make some
so we're
more
going to go ahead and
adjustments
change
here.
that. But before we do, there's one more thing I want to add to the scene.
What we also want to add a
we're going to
floor
create
to
a
the scene, so let's go to primitive polygon mesh grid.
And we're going to take the subdivisions
and
down
take
to
the
0
subdivisions down to 1 and 1.
And let's
increase the size of this.
Go ahead and
50
just scale
50 is
this
not good
guy
enough.
up.
So let's just
So
scale
let's
it up
scale it
to
up
make a floor
to-
for our little scene
Let's make
here.
it pretty big, something like
So
that.
we'll make a pretty big
just
floor.
fine.
And let's come in here and floor is a
let's
good
go ahead and
size.
do
Let's do a
render
render
again.
region. And now because the floor is down there blocking light out from coming from the bottom, it's going to darken this up a bit, and now we can see more detail.
Alright, so we end up with something like this.
What we're trying to do is create basically what they call a clay render, which is excellent.
This is a pretty nice
if you're
render.
a
The
modeler.
white sphere that's
It's an
around
excellent
the
way to
entire
show off
scene
your modeling
is
skills.
still a bit too bright, so we're
Now
going to go
it's
ahead
still
and
a little
change
bit
that.
too bright. Unless
So
you like
here's
that,
how-
you
here's
can
how
go
I'm
with
gonna do it.
that.
I'm gonna
But
select the
that's too
sphere,
bright for my
and
taste.
then
Let me
here
select
in
the
the render
sphere.
toolbar, I'm going to
And
click on
in the render
Modify,
toolbar, I'm going to go to
Shader,
Modify Shader.
and let's go
And
ahead
I'm going to change the
lower
color to
intensity
about a
down.
mid-gray.
Let's do a render region.
So let's do a render region.
Remember, if you
And now
mess
you can
up
see
on
it's
anything,
darker and
Control
grayer.
Z, undo is your best friend.
So
Okay,
that
so
looks a
here we
little
go.
bit better.
Now we're getting something more manageable. So we're getting this nice clay render, and a lot of times you can see these clay renders at
So you might
high-end,
notice that a lot of
CG and 3D
a lot of
animation
people
sites
with a lot of skill
people with a
and
lot of
professionals
experience
and
are
things
posting up the renders and
will
things.
who are modelers will
And
usually
one of the
have
favorite
clay
things for 3D
renders
artists to do is to
of
render
their
things out with clay
polygonal
renders.
models and things. It helps to show off the
So
detail
here we
better,
have this
and
object here.
it's actually one of the
in a
preferred
clay
ways
render
of
type
displaying models.
All
If
right.
you're just a polygon modeler.
That's,
Of course, if you texture
that's
things,
not too bad.
it
That's
works
not
out a
too
lot
bad,
better.
Not too shabby.
But this is a great way of showing your model in a neutral
I'm just gonna
fashion,
make a few changes.
so you can
I'm
just
gonna
pay
go back
attention
to
to
my
the
render
detail of the
options
model
over here. And the next thing that
So
I'm going
let's
to
go
do
over here back
is
to the
let me
render
increase
regions
this filter
PPG.
size.
Let me increase this filter
See if we
size.
can darken up this.
See if we could
Final
darken
Gather
up the
effect,
dark corners
darker
here.
areas.
Yeah, it's not going to help much.
Not really.
So let's try something else.
One thing I'm also going to do is I'm going to go over
Let
here
me
to
hit this explore
I'm gonna
button and go to
I'm
lights
going to grab my
and
default
grab this
light, and I'm
default
gonna
light
delete
and I'm
it.
going to hit
Just
delete to get rid of it.
Because it was adding some extra lighting.
Because
to
that
our
default
scene.
light was messing up my lighting.
Which,
But now you
which
notice
I
everything
didn't
is
want.
pitch black, which is obviously not good.
Okay, now the Final Gather effect
Now,
went away. Which
when
is,
you don't have any lights
not
in your
good, of
scene,
course.
it deactivates
So to
Final
bring it
Gather
back,
by
we'll go to
default and
primitive,
Nexus sign.
we'll go to
So let's
light,
go to
and we'll
primitive
create a
lights
simple
and let's
point
create
light
a
work.
point light.
And we'll knock the intensity down
And let's
to
knock
0.
the intensity down to 0 so it basically turns the light off. But because
That
the
way
light
the light
exists,
has basically
Final
no
Gather
effect
gets
in the
turned
scene.
on automatically.
It's just a requirement from mental.
And now we can see we
for
get this
Final
nice
Gather.
dark
You have
scene
to
that we
have
can
that
see
in
a lot more
So now
detail
everything's
in, which
really,
is better.
really dark.
But it's a
which
little bit
is,
too dark, so we have to brighten
not
this
that
up.
great.
But you can see
So let's
it
select
does
the
look pretty
sphere.
good
Let's
because
go
now we
back
can
to
see
its
detail
shader.
better.
And
So
let's
let's
increase
grab
the
the sphere,
brightness of
go to
that
modify
shader.
and go to
Let's actually
shader,
go to pure white.
and make the sphere, the dome sphere around the entire
Okay,
scene,
now
make it
pure
pure
white's
white.
looking good.
And now this
So
is
let me
looking
close
good.
that.
So let's get out of that PPG and
And
let
this
this
will
render out with
finish
Final
rendering.
Gather. And you can
And
see
when
we
it
have
does,
this
when it does, we should
beautiful
have this
clay
very
render.
nice clay render of
The
our
glass
scene.
table looks awesome. It's reflecting all the objects around it. As
Clay
well as
renders
the
are a
white
great
dome.
way to represent
So
your
it looks
scene, to
great.
render it out and show people
Very realistic.
your works in progress
Great
and
way
what you're
of
doing.
showing the detail
And
in
it's
your
also
models. This is one
really
great
good
way
for modelers,
of showing things
for
off for
your
your demo reel.
in case you're
And
coming
when
out
you're
of
showing
school
off
or
things
you're
to
looking
try to
for
get a
job as
job
a modeler, and
just if you want to show off.
It's a really good idea to use clay renders because
so these clay renders
really
are awesome for showing off the detail of your models.
It
so
can make a difference between.
If you got this tutorial, it probably is
you
because you want to be a polygon modeler. If you want to be a straight up polygon modeler in the industry,
to the next guy up,
you should learn how to render
pretty good
like this. That way you can show off your things because you can model great, but if your presentation's bad, it's going to hurt you.
I'm not going to go ahead and do that. There's
so
really no point.
I hope this helps.
You get the idea.
And I hope this was a
so
lot
that's
of fun.
Conclude,
Thanks a lot for watching.
For this
and
tutorial.
good luck with your modeling.
Thanks for watching.